Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast. I hope you all are doing well. It's Taylor Swift Bowl 2.0. We got it. We definitely do. And so this episode is going to be a little bit different just because my older brother Cam, how you doing, Cam? How you doing,
So,
Kevin, by the way?
what's up?
So just because my brother has some things going on, he's kind enough to lend us about 20, 25 minutes of his time. So kind of for the first half of this episode, we're going to talk about, Super Bowl stuff and then kind of just go forward. But really, Kevin had a great idea when coming up with this, and I want to start with this question. Is there a parity issue in the NFL? Like the Chiefs going to the AFC Championship pretty much every year. Should fans appreciate what the Chiefs are doing right now?
I'm gonna say I don't think um we should like have some type of hate towards the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Like people are like, "Oh, the Chiefs is always like that." The thing I get is like is it should be more like anger towards the teams that aren't beating them. Like, why do you keep letting this happen? I do think we should appreciate greatness to a certain extent, but it's always like now we're starting to feel like, all right, it's a little bit too much. Like it's cool to see the Chiefs win a lot. It's cool to see, teams have dynasties like the '90s Bulls, but like it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, is anybody going to beat them? I don't want to watch the next decade or watching one team win, but it's what it is. Until somebody can figure out how to stop them, that's what we got to do.
I find it so polarizing at times. It's crazy to me because we both celebrate it and tarnish it all at the same time. We really do. I mean, think back Bulls run, Michael Jordan. I'm sure people were tired. People were sick and tired of it. But us Illinois, we weren't. We weren't tired of it. We weren't tired of it. So
Lakers and Warriors too.
I think it's just the nature of sports, honestly. I think you see dominant dynasties and different eras throughout all different sports. And I think that there's a side of people who love to see it, and there's a side of people who, love to hate it. So I love watching greatness in front of my eyes. I mean, you have to appreciate it for what it is. It's not easy. I mean, that's obvious. Everybody knows that it's not easy. Does it get tiring? Does it get boring? Does it get same old, same old? Of course. Of course it does. So I think you just got to take the good with the bad and you just kind of keep going. I do think that there does need to be more competition. I definitely think that. Some of these small market franchises, we were talking about that before, and definitely in other sports don't get a chance, but specifically in the NFL, some of these small market teams, you do want to see them, finally get over that hurdle. So in that sense, you do. Um, but I'm an AFC. I'm a Steelers fan, so the AFC's been owned since the whole time I've been alive. So I'm definitely tired of it. I definitely want to see somebody else up in there. But I'm not gonna hate on Mahomes and Andy Reid doing their thing either. Love to see it. Used to be an Andy Reid fan back in the day, so I mean to see him have success. Nobody else to be a winner, you got to win. Nobody else is beating them. What else can you complain about?
Fair, fair, fair. And both of you have said it really, really great, and both of you kind of touched on like the competition in other teams. So continuing Kevin's earlier point, like the notes we have. What is it going to take for teams like Buffalo, Ravens, the Bengals? I'll throw in the Steelers. I get that there's other teams that are going to be up there, but what's it going to take for teams like them to get past the Chiefs? And I'll go first with this one. Obviously, for the teams we just named, all of them have different strong suits and different weaknesses. So I think number one, you have to be able to run the ball consistently. I think that to get to this point in the season, you have to have at least a run game that's respectable. By that I mean you don't have to have the number one running offense. Don't get me wrong, it definitely helps too, but you don't have to, be the you just have to have a good enough run game to make teams respect it. And so I think that's one element. Number two, this is more so leaning toward the Ravens. It's that you can't beat yourself. Like Chiefs, if you make one mistake, that one mistake might lose you a game. Like, all it takes is one fumble, interception, maybe a third down where you should catch the ball and maybe you don't catch it. It just takes one mistake. You have to play. The Chiefs are pretty much the only team where you have to play a true 60 minutes mistake-free football because any mistake, it might come back to bite you. So, what do you think for teams like the Bills, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers? What do kind of the other AFC teams need to do to beat the Chiefs when it matters most?
I'm gonna say I think teams in the AFC should start constructing their rosters more like NFC. I think the biggest strong suit of teams that we've seen dominate NFC last couple of years, like the 49ers and the Eagles, is that they're pretty much strong at every position group. Like the 49ers had great receivers, they had a great running back, they had a great O-line. That team last year that went to the Super Bowl, their weakest, part of the team was their quarterback, but Brock Purdy's not even that bad. Like they looked at him as like, a liability, but even then, Brock Purdy was still a decent quarterback last year. I think that would be the best way for AFC teams to move going forward. I feel like AFC teams are good, but they count on one set of like guys or one position group or whatever to get it done. Like the Ravens, they count on Lamar Jackson to carry them. The Bengals this year had horrible defense, but they wanted Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to just carry them to the playoffs. I don't know why. I feel like AFC teams are going to have to start, building a more complete roster. So a day that Joe Burrow doesn't have it, a day that Lamar Jackson doesn't have it, the offensive line say, okay, just run the ball. We'll take over the game. Like they don't have that like the 49ers or the Eagles do. Jalen Hurts having a bad game, okay, just hand off to Saquon. O-line get it done. Like they don't have that. And until those teams have that, I feel like they don't have a fair or like even a good shot of even beating the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on what team you're talking about in specific. I think every team needs something different for the most part. I mean, for some teams, you can take it big as the front office. I mean, you said, Kev, the rosters need to be laid out more. They need to be expanded. They need to be improved. And that goes to the GM, to the front office, being able to market people. I mean, it goes to all the different complexities within the business realm of things. I mean, for some teams, cough cough the Cowboys, it might be up to the owner. I mean, for all these teams, it could be something different. I mean, I think for these teams that are super close, like the Ravens or even the Bills, for them too, I think that everything is there except the coaching in tight in those critical games, in those critical moments. Darren, you said it. When it comes to those games, the slightest mistakes can lead to catastrophic events. And in those games, they have to be perfect. I think when you saw Lamar and Josh Allen go head to head in that game, I think you saw Josh Allen play a clean game. It wasn't excellent by any means, but he didn't have any turnovers. He didn't have any turnovers. He didn't do anything amazing. He didn't rush for any crazy touchdowns and didn't throw for any crazy touchdowns, but he did what he needed to do to protect the ball. His team ultimately won. Then you flash forward to, the Ravens. They obviously committed the turnovers. I think it's really this playoffs, it's been a huge turnover thing. I mean, you look at the Lions, they got upset, turnovers. The Commanders, excuse me, turnovers. I mean, it's just what
Chargers
ends the
too.
games. So it's like the ball protection for some of these close knit teams, these teams that are really close, but and the coachings. I mean, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. I mean, Hall of Famer already right now. Like
Best defensive coordinator in football.
literally. So
I don't
like
care what anybody
the
says.
coaching, they're already at a disadvantage with coaching as it is. Andy Reid, probably the greatest coach in the league right now, minus Mike Tomlin, maybe, and maybe a few others you could possibly argue, depending. But like you're already at a disadvantage at the GM level, at the front office level, and at the coaching level. If you're mid par on the skill level when the place comes to the players on the field, it comes down to turnovers every time for those teams. Other teams, like I said, need more, but for those immediate teams, they're right there. They're right there.
I agree. I agree with both of you 100%. And me personally, with the overarching question, with like parity, like I hope some of these other teams, like I don't want it to me being labeled as a Chiefs hater, but it would be nice if, say, next year, if it was, we'll say Bills, Lions, or 3 years down the line, if it's um Bears, Steelers, just throwing out random teams at the top of my head, just for sake of conversation. But let's talk about the Super Bowl a little bit, Chiefs and Eagles. So here's what I'm gonna do. I wrote down pretty much all the players I could from each position group, and I'm gonna write down where my pencil go. It fell right here. I apologize. So you two will say what team you think has the advantage. If you want to explain, feel free. If not, we'll just keep it going and we'll see who's got the most. So starting off with the quarterbacks, obviously we have Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Cam, I already know your vote.
Yeah, it's easily Mahomes for obvious reasons.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Uh,
My homeboy. That's what they call him.
for the Chiefs, their dynamic duo of Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. For the Eagles, we have Saquon and Kenneth Gainwell. Even if the Eagles didn't have Gainwell, I'm sorry, I think Saquon is better than both Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. I mean, Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, they're both great backs, but I
That one's even more lopsided than the quarterbacks.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. And don't get me wrong. Gainwell, people sleep on him because he's solid.
he's a
Yeah,
dog.
He's solid. He's nice.
he was solid in the last Super Bowl run too.
Yep. He's solid.
So far we all agree so far. Receivers for the Chiefs, just kind of listed their top three. Got Xavier Worthy, we got Hollywood Brown, and we have Juju Smith-Schuster. For the Eagles, you have AJ Brown, you've got Devonta Smith, and I believe this is the wide receiver number three. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Jahan Dotson.
Don't forget about DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm happy you said that. I'm very happy you said that.
DeAndre
We
Hopkins.
mentioned we're not mentioning him, bro.
We not mentioning DeAndre.
What is he doing?
He hasn't done much. He hasn't
But
done much.
maybe they got some plays cooked up for him for this game. You know how Andy Reid is. But definitely going to the Eagles wide receivers, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith at their peak. Come on, it's ridiculous.
I think, I mean, on paper, yes, I give the Eagles the advantage. I mean, you can't argue that. I think the receiving core for the Chiefs are going to surprise a lot of people in the Super Bowl and going into next year if they keep the core. They just have a lot of different utility pieces. Like, and I think that's the problem with the Chiefs is like they don't have that one guy. I mean, people were thinking Hopkins trade might have been falling into something like that route, but they just get it done with all those pieces. And I'm not going to sit here and say Juju Smith isn't a useful piece. I mean, he's not that number one wide receiver, but he could block. He can do all these different things. You have Hollywood Brown, same thing. You have all the Xavier Worthy, just a speed guy. They just have all these different plug and play pieces, and it's just crazy how well you could play chess with those, and it's dangerous. But obviously, on paper, I still give it to the Eagles.
Yeah, we all agree. And the thing is, I think in a way, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, I don't know their ages off the top of my head. But if this was, let's just say a few years in the past, I low key would have leaned for DeAndre Hopkins in the past because I think DeAndre Hopkins at his best is a
Was that
dog.
good? Was
Um,
that good?
and like I agree with what my brother was saying. I think the Chiefs, I think the wide receivers will surprise some people. If this was before they got DeAndre Hopkins, or if he was never on this team, and it's crazy I forgot him and he's in my notes, different story. But yeah, so far Chiefs have one advantage from to us, and the Eagles got two. Moving on to the tight ends, we've got Travis Kelce, obviously, and Noah Gray. Noah Gray gets heavily involved on that offense. That's why I put his name on there. And the Eagles, even though they have a tight end, I just put Dallas Goedert on here because he's their main tight end to get involved. So, I mean, if it's just to be fair, compare Travis Kelce or Goddard, I'm taking Travis Kelce, even though Goddard's a good tight end.
I'm gonna have to.
I might go Eagles. The thing is if we're talking prime Travis Kelce, okay, yes, and I've still obviously he still makes plays. So like I could and Noah Gray is good too, but like Dallas Goedert is just he's right there for the plays he makes for this team because he's Hurts' security blanket at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Dallas too. Going into the playoffs, I feel like, oh man, they're gonna turn it on for Travis. Like he's been playing the whole I'm getting old gimmick all year, and then just like last year, he does that, and then all of a sudden 2 touchdowns in the game. Like, but he hasn't really done anything at all this playoffs. Like that, I'm like, whoa, like okay, like prime Travis Kelsey coming now. I gotta give it to Dallas. He's been pretty consistent all playoffs, so it's going to him.
This will be our first agreement because I'm still gonna give it to Kelsey. I agree with what both of you were saying, but I'm still gonna pick Kelsey because I get like what you just said. Travis Kelsey has not really been there for the Chiefs the way Dallas Goedert has for the Eagles. But if there's any time for him to pop off, it is quite literally on the biggest stage, and he is the type of person to do it. So I'm gonna pick Travis Kelsey here.
Yeah.
Moving on to the O line, I'm just gonna name like all of the O line from going from left tackle to right tackle for each side. Left tackle for the Chiefs is Joe Tooney. He's originally a left guard, but they've had some injuries that have swapped some pieces around. Mike Caliendo, who I believe has been filling in for them. Creed Humphrey at center, right guard Trey Smith, and right tackle Jawan Taylor. And then for the Eagles, I might have mixed up their left tackle and right tackle, but in general, they play tackle. Um, we've got Landon Johnson, we've got Landon Dickerson, we've got Cam Jurgens, we have Mekhi Becton, and Jordan Mailata.
It's hard to say. I feel like it's two different philosophies on these teams. One is obviously run heavy to a certain extent, and the other one is obviously like drop back and we're gonna throw it a bunch. So overall, I want to say Chiefs because I feel like I'm gonna give it to the Chiefs. Look, I'm gonna say it. Look, for a team that's known to be um pass heavy, quarterback still like pretty much goes untouched for like the entire season. You got to be some dogs for real. The thing that's good about the Eagles is that they can do both. They can run and they can pass block. Um, but the thing is, it's harder to get beat when your opponent don't know if you running or passing. And I feel like the Chiefs they throw it a lot. So the fact that you can still drop back and still your quarterback barely gets touched, it says a lot about how good they are.
I'm surprised he's giving it to the Chiefs right now. I'm giving it to the Eagles. I think this one it's close for sure, but I mean the Chiefs left tackle, that left side has been struggling. And we can't even mention Jawan Taylor, the most penalized lineman in the league. Like I get he's good and all, but like he's still like a liability at times. So I mean they moved Joe to the left tackle and kind of shore up that a little bit, but now their left guard is a little suspect. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. And the front seven for the Eagles is really, really freaking good. So I feel like you have to give the edge to the Eagles O line in this game.
I'm kind of torn. I really, really am. Honestly, the only reason I think I want to give it to the Eagles is just because of the tush push, and I get it. The tush push is just one play, but nobody runs it like the Eagles do. And Cam, even though you didn't have any sound there, I could read your lips. I know you said I hate the tush push. I don't like it either. But we saw the Bills keep trying to run
It
it,
works.
kept stuffing it.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to stop the Eagles' tush push. But I do agree with Kevin. I saw some sort of statistic a few weeks ago, even though it was nothing crazy. I think Mahomes got sacked like 44, 45 times this season, which may be the most in his career. But like over the course of a season, you got to think that's basically him getting sacked 2 times a game at most, give or take, average. Which if you get sacked twice a game, that's not bad. I feel like if you get sacked 4 times a game, kind of
Yeah,
leaning toward bad.
yeah. And the thing is, like just like Caleb Williams, a lot of the sacks are their own doing. With Mahomes trying to extend the play, he obviously just throw it away. Him and Caleb sometimes take this like similar sacks with like just throw it away, but they trying to have somebody get open. But even though that 44 sounds kind of bad, it's like Mahomes kind of doing it to himself sometimes.
Yeah. Like you just said, like out of that 44, a good 10 to 15 could have been Mahomes' fault. That's just me throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if anything for me, even though I'm picking the Eagles with the advantage, I think a key piece for the Chiefs would be if their offensive line plays great, it's gonna be dangerous. Um, so moving on to the defensive ends for the Chiefs, we have Karlaftis and Mike Dana. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, so excuse my pronunciation. And ironically, for the Eagles, if you look up their depth chart, they technically only have one DN listed, but I think just because they have so many people who could play at other spots on the in their front seven. So, like, for example, they technically have four linebackers. Like Josh Sweat is a pass rusher. He's listed as a linebacker, but he's a pass rusher. Nolan Smith can do a little bit of both. So, I mean, if you throw in Josh Sweat to the defensive end, put it in that kind of conversation. Actually, you know what? For sake of conversation, let's do that. I'm gonna write it down. So, would you rather have George Karlaftis and Mike Dana, or Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat? Karlaftis has been balling in the postseason, so I'm gonna take the Chiefs personally. Um, Even if it is just for a defensive end perspective, I'm just taking just one player. He's been
I was
playing just as good, if not better, than Chris Jones this postseason.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of difficult because it's like you said, the Eagles have a lot of plug and play pieces when it comes to
Mhm.
their rushers and the DNs and stuff. So when you put the names, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. But that doesn't take anything away from, the way the Eagles scheme things.
Agreed.
I'm kind of torn, but I'm gonna give a slight edge to the Eagles, um, just based off how they performed this year.
Fair enough. Fair enough. D tackles. I mean, yes, even though the Chiefs have multiple, I only put one name, Chris Jones. And then for the Eagles, you got either Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis. I'm gonna give it to the Eagles, even though I'm not sleeping on Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones is a dog, but I think just you've got Jordan Davis to stop the run, and you have Jalen Carter who can do both. Not to say that Chris Jones can't, but it's essentially you've got two high end defensive tackles you can sub in and multiple. It just goes into they have a bunch of plug and play pieces. So if it was just Chris Jones versus Jalen Carter, tougher conversation. But for me at least, but since you got
And
two people, I'm picking the Eagles.
The
look,
thing is I hear Jordan Davis hasn't been playing that well.
He's not really used as a pass rusher too much. He's more used as a run stopper.
Right, but people are saying he's too slow.
look, man.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Look, just like I said with Jared Verse, man, the Bears should have got Jalen Carter, but he had the whole scandal that was going on at the time, so they passed up on him. But I knew this dude was gonna be a dog back at Georgia. It's finally starting to show. I'm surprised he didn't do this his rookie year, but that team was stacked and he didn't really play that much. But I feel like what everybody thinks Chris Jones is, you know what I'm saying? Jalen Carter is that for 4 quarters. I feel like when I watch Chris Jones, he turns it on and off for some plays. Like I see him make like a play or two. You watch Jalen Carter play, bro. He's going like 100% every play. Like I don't know. Maybe it's an age thing. He's young and he got a lot of energy left. But man, his motor is just gone for 4 quarters. It's crazy.
Yeah. That was what I was gonna say too, is I think I think that you have to choose the Eagles on this one just because his motor is just different. His motor is just different. I mean, Chris Jones is Chris Jones. There's no slouch, no slight, but that man Jalen Carter is just different.
I get it. I get it. So moving forward, which for the sakes of this, yes, we have the middle linebacker position. The Eagles got three players I can plug in there, so we're gonna make it a little bit tougher. I'm not gonna talk about the middle linebackers. We're gonna talk about the corners. For the Chiefs, you have arguably the best corner in football, Trent McDuffie, and you have Jalen Watson on the other side. For the Eagles, they have Cooper DeJean, who's more so their nickel. They got Darius Slay. They got Quinion Mitchell. Those are, I say, their top three guys. Um, Again, this is tough just because the Eagles got plug and play people. Um, I think I want to give it to, I don't know. I'll let y'all go first. Who y'all gonna give it to?
Yeah.
Gotta give it to my boy Slay. Gotta give it to my boy Slay. McDuffie and them boys, they are nice, but I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I like the Eagles more. But when I watch Slay, I'm like, yo, he a dog for real. And the same thing with Cooper. Still young, obviously still learning. He make mistakes here and there, but I feel like they maybe just the way they they act on the field. But when I watch them, I feel like it's more energetic. Like I feel like I believe it more. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I feel like it's really there for it, and it's not just like, oh, we getting lucky or playing bad teams. Like it's really there for full quarters.
Choosing the Chiefs. You know what? I Darius Slay was my favorite corner in the league at one point. Like I love Darius Slay, but it's just like I feel like when it's that time, I feel like we see the Eagles defense get like cooked. Like I don't know what it is, like 300 yards, like
Oh,
420 yards let up, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like on paper, yes, but like I feel like you look up and it's like in the important moments, they're letting up big plays. So I gotta go Chiefs because I feel like they actually lock up when it matters. I feel like they do.
I think I'm gonna go Trent McDuffie here.
Yeah, he
I
locks
think I'm gonna
up.
go the
He
Chiefs.
locks up. He locks up man to man.
I'm gonna go the Chiefs because I think he's going to have a bigger impact on the game
oh my, he ain't had to guard nobody, man.
than the Eagles.
Oh.
Now, after this podcast, Kevin can prove to be right. He can hop on here and say, "Jaron, Cameron, I told you so," and which I already know damn well.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
the Eagles end up winning this game, that's exactly what he's gonna do. But I'm
What,
gonna pick the Chiefs for that.
what was his pass to the Super Bowl? Who was the best? Who was the best receiver they seen?
He's
Um,
seen some good.
Was it
He's
Zay
seen some good
Flowers?
receivers.
no, they didn't. Ravens didn't play the Chiefs. Or you just
Oh
mean
yeah, I'm
throughout the
tripping. I'm
entire
tripping.
year?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, no, playoffs. I'm tripping. They didn't play the Chiefs. I mean, they didn't play the Ravens.
The best receiver he would have played against probably would have been Nico
Nico
Collins.
Collins. Yeah.
But Kevin does have a point. He didn't have to play the crazy amount of wide receivers that
Or they
City.
had, they had the guard, Puka. They seen Terry on Washington. Like, bro,
They also had to guard Cooper Kupp, and
yeah,
even though the Packers don't have a true number wide receiver one, they have a wide receiver by committee, so they've got four decent wide receivers. So to Kevin does have a good point.
Yeah, but they was getting ate up by some of them though, for real. Like
they played better receiver. Like,
all I'm saying is this is I guess this is what I'm saying, or what I at least believe. I believe that the Eagles secondary is never going to win you the game. They're never going to be the reason you win the game. That's what I don't think they're going to be the reason that you lose the game. I don't think they're going to be the reason you lose the game. But I feel like the Chiefs, like McDuffie, he goes out there and he makes game-winning stops.
I can't disagree with that. I'm not 100% sure. I think I'm in the middle with your statement, but I get it.
I don't
Moving
know.
on a little
I'd have
bit,
to. I don't know. I'd have to go back and really watch, I guess. But
I get it.
it's just I don't know. It's close.
So moving on, we just got two more position groups. We got the safeties, and then we have special teams. For the Chiefs, they have Cook and Justin Reed. For the Eagles, they have C.J. Gardner Johnson and Reed Blankenship. I'm picking the Eagles. Both Blankenship and C.J. Gardner Johnson are dogs. Like, I think they have their advantage there. I think they're going to be important to stopping plays over the top, like throughout the entire night. If the Chiefs, any shot plays the Chiefs take, they got to be the ones to stop it.
yeah, I'm gonna give it to them. Only thing is, I hope, like what Cam's saying, they don't prove me wrong and let Worthy, take it 80 yards to the house or something crazy.
Yeah. I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna pick Eagles on this one too. I think that one's clear. I just, like I said, man, limit those big plays because they let them up. I feel like they can. In the past, I've doubled down on them. Like I said, and this is why I'm scared because in the past, when Darius Slay first went to the Eagles, he was my favorite corner in the league, and he proceeded to go over there, and all the defense, the whole secondary was getting cooked. So now I've been reluctant. I've been reluctant to say, because I just haven't seen it. So I'm picking the safeties though. I'm picking the safeties on this one. Don't let me eat my words.
And get you. So for the final matchup of special teams, the Chiefs kicker is Harrison Butker, and their punter is Matt Ariza. Eagles kicker is Jake Elliott, and then Brandon Mann. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs, partially just because Jake Elliott is kind of having a down year, and punter. Don't get me wrong, it's always helpful to have a good punter, but I think the only way that you might question who's better between their punters is if a punt gets blocked or something. But I mean, more so just focusing on the kickers, I just think Harrison Butker is one of, if not the best kicker in the league. Yes, I said one of, if not the best. I said it. So that's my take. What are your guys'?
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. Yeah, I give it to the Chiefs in this scenario.
Yeah. Not only the kicker and the punter, the whole Chiefs second special teams. I mean, I'm taking the Chiefs second. The Chiefs special teams always making plays, always making plays. I feel like they always find a way to give them a big play when they need it. So the whole special teams, I'm taking Chiefs.
I feel you. And kind of just talk about how we rank them. So we gave the Eagles the advantage, all three of us, in the running back department, the wide receiver department, and the safety department. It was 2-1 in the tight end and offensive line, and defensive tackles department for the Eagles. For the Chiefs, the only unanimous one between all three of us was the quarterbacks. While, they had a couple of actually no kicker. All three of us said kicker. They had so special teams really. So they had two unanimous. The other one where it was, I guess, tiebreaker would have been the defensive end and the corners, so DBs. So it it was kind of even based off of how we had talked about it. So so now that we've talked about which position groups that we think have the advantage, let's talk winners. Who do you think is going to be holding up the trophy? And also, do you think Taylor Swift's going to pull a Kevin Durant and just for the winner? But regardless, who y'all think is going to hold up that trophy?
Uh, I think the Eagles get it done this time around. Um, even though it's controversial to say, you never want to count out the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Saquon, he's going to prove why he should have been the MVP this year. He might even get Super Bowl MVP, but I think it would be very hard for the Chiefs if the Eagles play the way they should to stop the run and stop the pass for 4 quarters. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I feel like if I have to pick who's more likely to get stopped, I see the Chiefs' offense getting stopped first before the Eagles.
I'm gonna say Chiefs, man. I'm gonna say Chiefs, and I'm only gonna say Chiefs because I think if it's close going into the fourth quarter, I'm picking Mahomes. I'm sorry, when it comes down to it, if he can if he can get the ball, I don't see them losing. So the Eagles, if it's a runaway in the first quarter, I could see it with the run not being able to stop the run. But you let the game be a one possession game going into the fourth quarter, can't pick against the Chiefs.
It hurts me to say this. I want the Eagles to win, but I'm picking the Chiefs to get the three-peat. Yeah, Kevin, I'm hanging my head in spirit just at the idea of me picking the Chiefs. Every fiber of my being wants the Eagles to win this game. And the thing is, if they do win, you might see me doing TikTok dances the next day. but the reason why I'm going to pick them is I think this game is going to be close. I think the only way where I can feel 100% comfortable is if
If
Mahomes
Saquon
does not
Barkley,
get the ball last.
yeah, if Saquon Barkley comes out and on the first play runs a 60, 70-yard touchdown, then I will feel confident. Then I will feel confident. And even then, it's still like, man, if the Chiefs buckle down on defense, if they can stop the run game, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be scary. People are gonna be biting their nails.
Saquon Barkley could have the best Super Bowl performance we've ever seen, regardless. But if the game somehow still stays close, that's my. I will feel confident for the Eagles winning if they're the team with the ball last, whether they're trying to protect their lead or whether they're trying to go down and win the game. But I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, and I'll even give you a score prediction: 38-35. Who do y'all think will be the MVP? Which, if the Chiefs win, it's Mahomes. If the Eagles win, the popular pick is going to be Saquon. I'm going to pick Jalen Hurts.
Uh, it depends, man. Because I feel like if it's as long as Jalen Hurts doesn't play bad, he's gonna get it. But most teams they only give their quarterback no matter what the MVP. Malcolm Butler saved the Patriots Super Bowl and they gave it to Tom Brady, which I get. He played the entire game, but I'm gonna say not being a normal situation, give it to Saquon. Saquon should win MVP. More than likely, if they win this game, it's because he went off.
I can agree with
Yeah,
that. I can agree with
I
that.
think I'm torn. If the Eagles win, I'm torn. I can see it going either way. It's I could see Barkley going off for two hundo and a couple of TDs and getting the MVP. I could also see Jalen Hurts going out there and surprising people and getting it as well. I could. Um,
Clip
but
it,
if
Kevin. We got him. We got him.
but but if the Chiefs win, it's gonna be Mahomes, man. It's gonna be Mahomes. I don't think it's gonna be anybody else.
Fair enough. If you guys had to pick one player, which Kevin, I already know your player, Saquon. If you had to pick one player you want to see win a ring, who would you pick? Kevin, what's your answer?
Between the two we got on the list, or just anybody?
Any player. You can name if you want to name a Chiefs player, you can name a Chiefs player.
Man, I think I would want to see Jalen Carter win it the most. Just just based off like what he's been through the last couple of years. And basically like you go from being on a national championship team, winning in college to, you make one like I won't say small mistake, but you have one accident in your life and people literally call you a criminal, all this type of crazy stuff. But I think it was show to the people who doubted him, said, he didn't love football for real, he wasn't a hard worker. He told him shut up. But I did it. I went to the highest level and I won. So for me, it's got to be him.
Cam, what's your pick?
This one might surprise y'all. I'm gonna go with my boy Big Play Slay. Big Play
Yeah,
Slay, man.
yeah.
Hey, I told you he was my favorite corner. Corner, my favorite position, man. I want to see my boy get a ring. I do. I really do, man. But don't go out there and embarrass me, bro. Don't go out there and embarrass me and let up a tutty. I don't care if y'all win and you let up a tutty. I'm disappointed. Don't let up a tutty. Like no, I want to see you get a ring. I want to see you do it on the big stage the right way, man.
I got two players. Even though the Jalen Carter answer is a great answer, I honestly did not think of that. I picked one on each team. I picked Saquon just because of what running backs have to go through
Yeah,
and whatnot. So if he is the biggest reason as to why the Eagles are even in this position. And like Kevin was saying, if Saquon goes off, most likely we'll get Super Bowl MVP. So I would like to know what that does to the running back market. And then picking a Chiefs player, I'm picking DeAndre Hopkins. Not even just because of what I was saying about earlier. I'm thinking about, with the loved ones that he has, specifically his mom, when he was playing in Houston, every time he scored, he'd run and go give her the ball.
yeah,
And so and I saw something with like why he has his long hair, and it's his father's hair was long like his. And so I feel like it would his DeAndre Hopkins close circle that would mean something. So those would be my two. Jalen Hurts and big play Slay, both great answers. I agree with those
Last
answers.
question. Last question. What team? Who does it mean more to? Who?
Ironically, that was one of my questions, so I'm happy you posed that. I said means more for. Ooh, I don't know.
I think it means more for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it does mean more for the Chiefs. I think the Eagles can come back next year to still get that ring.
I think it means more for the Chiefs, man.
I think it means more for the Eagles. The Chiefs, even if they lose today,
Pete, three Pete.
look. I'm saying that off the pretext that I feel like even if they win, a lot of people because this is really they pin it as Mahomes 3P. Is he gonna be better than Brady? And we already know even if he does do it, how people gonna say he still ain't better than Brady? Brady got 7. So I feel like this game is gonna just it's used for the GOAT debate, but it's not gonna get the GOAT debate anywhere. People gonna say, well, he beat the trash Eagles or whatever, and Brady didn't have the 3P. He still got 7 anyway. I say it means more for the Eagles, in a sense of it's redeeming what happened a couple years ago, and it's redeeming what been hunting Jalen Hurts the last few times in the championship game, and not NFC championship in college. Um, he was, playing whatever, got pulled out. Tua came in, won the game. Tua was the hero. This time around, he gets a chance. First time in Super Bowl, he plays well, still doesn't win. Now he has a chance to finally, prove himself as the best, and nobody has to, come in and replace him and carry the team to, victory. Same thing with the head coach, Nick. They wanted him fired at the end of last year, the beginning of the season. They were saying getting Sirianni out of there. Like, we don't want him anymore. And now if you go from we want you fired to holding the Lombardi within a matter of, like 10 months, that's what I'm saying? That'll do a lot for them. And his whole, job security and everything. The Chiefs lose, who cares? Like, they'll be back here next year. Like, who's
I agree. I agree.
And they want to make history though. They want to make history. Three-peat never been done before. Everybody's counting them out. Everybody's hating them. Like they want this. I know they want this bad. I know they
like,
want this bad. Patrick Mahomes probably ain't even sleeping, and it's not out of fear. This man's probably just not sleeping, bro. Like he wants it bad.
There's the meme I saw on TikTok. I don't remember who sent it to me. It was when the Luka trade was announced, and somebody who did impersonator. He was like, "Brittany, it's supposed to be my week."
No, I said it to you. I said that to y'all too. Yeah. It's like, man, he wants this bad. He's not sleeping. This man can't wait. But I can see it both ways. It's just, man, I think Chiefs want it bad with the 3P. But I do have to go, guys.
I understand. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure as always. Appreciate the call. Appreciate being able to be on here.
No problem. All right, so we're back and we're kind of going down to the wire with the podcast. And really, this the final thing to discuss which is your idea. Do you think that this game will be played similarly to their last Super Bowl? Why or why not?
I'm gonna say in terms of scoring, no, I think it'll be a little bit less scoring. That second half, like I complained about on last podcast, the Chiefs scored every drive the second half, and it kind of ruined the experience for me. Like, no defense second half, but I really see the Eagles coming out this time, running the ball a lot more. Last time they were just airing it out. Like, I remember the deep throw to AJ Brown, stuff
Hmm.
like that. They was just letting it fly. I feel like in a game like this, turnovers is always a big thing. I feel like they're gonna hand it off to Saquon, try to just pound the rock as much as they can, keep it safe, and hopefully he get them to the promised land. And then on the Chiefs side, I feel like it's still gonna be played the same way. Mahomes leading the charge, but I'm curious to see what they do this time around. I feel like last time it was kind of the Juju Smith-Schuster show, and I want to see how they mix in D-Hop or whatever, this time around. Like, I'm very curious, especially because now they got their Tyreek Hill replacement with Xavier Worthy. I feel like we'll see a lot more deep balls this year. I feel like they're gonna take some shots and try to expose people.
You said it perfectly. And the other thing I think the Chiefs are probably going to keep in their mind is, most teams they go with the approach of, oh, let's keep Lamar Jackson off the field, let's keep Mahomes off the field. They might be saying, hey, let's keep Saquon Barkley off the field, which is not that often where, you hear it to say like keep someone that's not the quarterback off the field. But
Yeah,
I think we're gonna see early on. I think the main difference just might be there might be a level of, I guess, aggression. And I don't just mean offensively. I mean they're gonna come out just, like punch each other in the mouth sort of thing, kind of see how they react. I think that this Super Bowl is gonna be a huge mental thing because I think mental, no matter what side, and the thing is, when you meant say have the idea of a mental mistake, you kind of lean toward the Eagles because in the past teams have mental mistakes against the Chiefs, and that's how they get here. So I hope there's not some sort of moment where an Eagles defender gets mad and, you know, does something extra. I'm saying extra because, I don't mean one of those calls that are flagged and it just ends up being like a weak flag. Like, how you gonna flag uh Fletcher Cox might play. I didn't put him on the defensive tackles. I think he's scheduled to play. Not Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham. Sorry. Brandon Graham's supposed to play. Let's just say he gets a sack on Mahomes, but like let's say or he gets rid of the ball at the same time he throws and he's called for roughing the passer. That happened to Will Anderson when they played like that call I think was BS. So
yeah,
something like that happens, I think that's a load of bull personally.
yeah. I think I think if the NFL was smart, now of course you never want to influence officiating all the way. You know what I'm saying? You still want to make the referees make the call that they usually make. But I think that has to be a big difference in this game. They went from last time they let them play perfectly. It was they were letting them get a little bit handsy and pushy on passing plays. There was no pat. I remember it was a big play. I think Juju Smith fell down or something like that. He got hit on like a third down conversion, and there was no flag.
Yeah.
Then you get to the end of the game, you start seeing more flags and holding. I'm just like, dude, like you're gonna let them play in the first half, let them play in the second half. If it's gonna be one of those games where there is a lot of flags thrown, for both teams, all right, then let that be known first quarter. Hopefully the officiating stay the same. But one thing I did want to mention, I forgot. I don't think that well, I do think that the Eagles this time around, I feel like they didn't send a lot of blitz and all that on defense. They tried to, but they were like slipping, obviously. The biggest thing that I feel like the Eagles are trying to, they're really gonna go after Mahomes and try to prove to him that we can't sack you, we can't get to you, we can't press you. Because when we saw him lose the other Super Bowl, it was literally that him being pressured for 4 quarters, and they couldn't do anything about it. Like if the Eagles want to win, is last time they said the field was slippery, we'll see this time around. But that's what it has to be for the Eagles on defense. They can't just sit back and let him throw. They got to get to him.
I feel you. And something else I want to add is that this might be a hot take. I think the Eagles front seven can get there, we'll just say a good amount of time of like times like if Mahomes dropped back 40 times, I'll at least say a good 10, 15 of those. I think the Eagles front seven can get there without sending any extra people or sending like a crazy 7-man blitz. Like
Yeah.
I think their front seven is that good, like with Jalen Carter, a couple of those other dogs that we mentioned. I think they're that good that, and plus Jalen Carter might be double teamed in all honesty. He might. Which I mean, I don't think they're going to double team him, but out
If
of
you
all the
if
Eagles
you
front seven, I think he would be the one you double team.
I'm not gonna lie, if you double team like a D tackle, just like you seen in the Super Bowl with the Rams, they tried to double team Aaron Donald. Double teaming a tackle.
Not a good idea.
I mean, you leave unless your tackles, your offensive tackles are really really good and can handle that DN one on one. But like, I mean, sometimes you with guys, you give a chip, the guard goes and gives a chip, block to help with Myles Garrett and stuff like that. But I mean, we seen it. The Rams got Aaron Donald blocked double team the whole entire game versus the Bengals, and then what happened? Von Miller went off. and the rest of the defensive line and front seven start to get through because we're focusing on one guy too much.
And Aaron Donald made the play of the game in that Super Bowl to force that early throw. So
Yeah,
I
and
agree
he
with you
made the
100%.
play the 2 weeks before in the NFC Championship. Then he gets what's his name to Jimmy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he got to Jimmy Garoppolo. He threw him down or whatever, and that was the game too. He made the game-winning play 2 weeks in a row, or 2 games in a row.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And like I was saying earlier, just in general, I want the Eagles to win. To win, I really, really do. I think in my gut, I'll know come fourth quarter who I think will win truly. But you got anything else you want to add before this episode we close out?
Um, Really, I just want to say I feel like it's gonna be a good game, and I feel like the same way as you. Like we all want to see the Eagles win. I don't have anything personal against the Chiefs. I don't think that the league is rigging it for the Chiefs or anything like that, or just just scripted in some type of way. But I do feel like one of my favorite sports is baseball, and I like that in baseball, it hasn't been any repeat champions since the '90s, and I would like to keep it um, that way, kind of moving forward with football for at least for a little bit. Like let's start having more and more parity, seeing different teams win. Like if the Eagles win this year, and then next year we get the Bills or the Ravens, something like that, I'm cool. Like I don't want to see too many of like the well, let's have a team win it 2, 3 years in a row. Like that's just not fun. Nothing against the Chiefs, but I think it'll make football my football viewing experience, just a lot more fun.
I agree, and I could not have said it better. Thank you again for hopping on the podcast. Definitely plan to have an episode with kind of just some reaction sometime, next week. So kind of you can see, and if we end up happy that the Eagles win, be happy. If we're mad, we're gonna rage. But thank you again. I appreciate it. And this is the end of the I Am Passionate podcast for today's episode. It's your host, Jaron Smith. Peace out.